Kia ora tātou. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today. For those of you who think that ecology is one of the gloomy sciences like economics, I want to say that I want to hold up a different kind of beacon, but a beacon of hope nonetheless. If we're going to design for a great village-style city, we have to achieve a number of things. And I want to sort of shake up some of your thinking, give you some sort of novel ideas for rebuilding the city and the economy in particular, and also question whether we've got the right people and all the appropriate people inside the decision-making tent. And of course we heard from the leadership group early this morning. They're not here now, of course, and there's a certain degree of, trust us, we know what we're doing. So, the first one of the important things is bringing the information together. And, we have various sort of concepts and fashions that come by us, like the knowledge economy. But I sometimes wonder, where is the knowledge? Who took the knowledge out of the economy? We must remember that Christchurch is a very learned place. We've got at least 10 centres of learning, all wanting to help, but often feel that this great body of talent is actually underutilised. Except, of course, as we know, the students went out digging silt for quite a few months after the earthquakes. So at least they were using their muscle. You may have also heard of the concept of triple bottom line. It's sort of almost disappeared from our lexicon now. But the important thing about it that was never really implemented is that business, environment and society need to be at that decision-making board table, not picking up the pieces from a predetermined agenda after the event. We need to have an historic and long view. We need to have an inclusive city. So there's a number of things that, great city stuff that needs to happen. As I said, we need to be inclusive, diverse, have a real brains trust that's not elitist, that's facilitated by skilled moderators that make sure that all of the ideas come to the surface, not just those with the biggest voice. Related to this is the need to make some very clear messages to our increasingly diverse society. We have our partnership between tangata whenua and the state. We also have an increasing number of other ethnic and racial groups coming into the city to help us rebuild. There must be a very clear message that these people are welcome. We heard reference earlier on about the importance of the youth voice, and all of our earlier speakers reminded us that we should hear what they've got to say. Well, we used to have a youth council associated with the city. That's sort of, as far as I know, been disbanded. We need to actually hear what they've got to say, because the future of the city is very definitely in the hands of our young people. We need to hear what will make this place a vibrant place that they will be attracted back to. And perhaps on a broader scale, we need to look to our neighbours throughout the South Island and join together in a more sort of concerted effort to make this mainland of New Zealand an important and attractive place to be. One sort of perhaps idea, it's kind of almost past being able to sort of influence now, is the notion of inclusiveness and bringing together all the kind of faiths and cultures, if you like, of the city. We often hear an enormous amount about the Christchurch Cathedral, but don't forget there's other great religions and concepts and philosophies out there as well. Probably Jasper can speak more about this, but what an idea it would have been to have had sort of sight lines that connected all of the places that those people hold dear, the marae in the north, the synagogue, the basilica, and the mosque. We need to be holistic and multidimensional. We've had a very sort of flat kind of marketing strategy for the city for a long time. There's a lot more than three bottom lines. We should be embracing all of those. We need to have a legible city so that you can walk through it and read the stories in the land. This is what contributes to sense of place and identity. Recognising that we've got this layered history of sort of Gondwana, our natural heritage, Tangata Whenua, the colonial era, the tectonic history of the city, which we've heard about, and of course today, you know, the post all of those things, the synthesis and partnership that's got to derive from that. Christchurch is also a biodiversity hotspot. This is the reflection of that first layer. We could be regarded as the bellbird or Koremako capital of the world. We need a new anchor that celebrates our ecology and our natural history through an eco-sanctuary. So here we are, the bellbird capital of the world. The eco-sanctuary anchor over there on the eastern edge of the city, sort of built around Travers Wetland there. We'll hear more about that shortly. All that sort of green corridor along the eastern side, but don't forget the dryland environments, the savanna woodlands, which are quite a special and unique environment on our doorstep as well. Here's that eco-sanctuary idea, to create a 150 hectare block. Christchurch is the only major population centre that doesn't allow its people and its visitors to experience the special and unique and rare species. Even the kakapo might be a future resident, takahe, kiwi, and these wonderful jewelled and green geckos that we have. And it's only a fraction of the cost of some of the other anchor projects, just a few measly $1 million probably to create this initially. We need, for a viable city, viable business. We know most of you here are here about that sort of thing, but it's got to be sustainable. And that's a lot about saving costs rather than necessarily generating more income, because we do have to sort of think about other values apart from the purely material ones, and a lot of that is about being smarter about the way we can save money. And I mean, this is a very crude estimate, and some of you will have much better figures than I did, but say we've got 100 big earth-moving machines, $1,000 a day, it's probably much too little, 300 days a year, so $30 million are being used just to sort of knock down and smash down buildings and cart them off to a landfill, which is going to be exhumed by rising sea level. Imagine if we could have instead employed 500 artisans and builders to dismantle, reuse, rebuild, recreate, and care about all of those environments. Why shouldn't we have actually made a pyramid in the middle of the city out of all of that rubble instead of trucking it off to somewhere else, and then we could have sold that as a tourist venture? We need to have much better landscape management, and there'll be a lot of cost savings there, some ecological input. And from this, of course, is ecotourism. The Great Perimeter Walkway, which has been on the books for 20-odd years, and yet just wanting a few tens of thousands to get going, and yet we're now going to spend a few million on another walkway to Sumner. It doesn't sort of make sense to me, you know, even though the council had supported this in the past. There's too much emphasis in our marketing of our city of, you know, things to sign up to spend another $100 on to go and do, rather than just getting people in here to see an amazing place and then spending their money just by being here for longer and staying here and needing the facilities. You know, there is an aspect of disaster tourism, and it's distasteful to some people, but as Anne was saying earlier on, we have to actually confront our demons. And part of this might actually involve, you know, developing a bit of a film industry here. Maybe we need our own soap opera in Christchurch. You know, I'm sick of seeing the Sky Tower and all of the Auckland-based movies. So here's the Great Perimeter Walkway. It's a concept that's been going for a long time. It's a wonderful experience of the enormous diversity of the city, not only the natural diversity, but also the built and architectural city as well, through Riccarton House and so on. It's a very enjoyable experience for many people, and I've been leading these groups of people, hundreds of people over many years, through this tremendously diverse environment. And in case you think it's just like a nice stroll around the place, it's actually about developing the kind of model that they have in Europe for recreation, where there's cycleways and pathways and taverns and cafes all connected up, educational information, and places to stay, bed and breakfast and so on. You know, we could do so much more with our city that we've sort of avoided. And what do people queue up to see? They don't queue up to see smart, new, shiny buildings, unless they're beautifully designed by Jasper. But they actually want to see tangible, real, authentic history. They want to feel a part of that. And, you know, I just took that picture out of the paper the other day, you know, visitors clambering over each other's shoulders to see the destruction in the city. You know, there's a certain sort of maudlin kind of voyeuristic aspect to us, and, you know, we shouldn't deny that. But that's what actually people want to see and do. They don't want just to see a memorial, you know, constructed. They want to see some authentic history. And here's some ideas. It's been done elsewhere, Coventry Cathedral, of course. Here's some ideas for the cathedral. Of course, Bob Parker's out there making decisions about this now. And he has a rather similar idea. But this one involves preserving the ruins and actually creating a sort of ghost of the previous spire, but importantly creating some verticality and a place that people can sort of climb up to look down. It's not necessarily grand, but it's real. And, you know, I've been to play in Europe where, you know, you can go to Dunkirk and you see the bullet holes in the buildings, and you can almost hear the desperate sounds of warfare. It's a very poignant experience. Another sort of off-the-wall idea is to actually turn some of the red zone, instead of, as I say, sanitising it and clearing it off to a landfill, is actually to create a kind of Indiana Jones lost civilization kind of thing. And this could be sort of associated with the eco-sanctuary that I was referring to earlier on. We don't really seem to support, you know, creativity to the hilt here. We have enormous development of talent, of artists, of musicians and so on, and yet we don't seem to really sort of celebrate them. A lot more could be done in that regard. I don't believe we deserve the title of conservative and a place for kids to leave in their droves, as they often seem to be doing. And remember that we're dealing with sort of landscapes of the mind. Virtual reality is perhaps turning into nature deficit disorder, and the extinction of experience, the extinction of our actual history. So we need to bring back that identity and celebrate the things that are special and unique to this place. Christchurch is a bit of a crossroads for me. Our cultural survival needs to be bold and edgy. We need to lift the sights, think outside the square, change perceptions, have a vision, synergise, all the rest of that stuff there, and not be sort of going down to the lowest common denominator, and not be just a gateway to somewhere else that's somehow nicer and prettier, national park, and an export of talent. Feels a bit like the Scream, and all that, watching all those opportunities sent to landfill that's going to be exhumed by the sea in the next century. So finally, we can create legible cultural landscapes and values if we open our minds for design for all of this many dimensions that our city has. Thank you very much.